Find the gap. Don't complain. Don't murmur. Don't talk negative. That's average people talk normal. Average people talk problems. The greats talk solutions. Average people use their time to whine and complain. Average people say it's their boss' fault. It's their mother's fault. It's their average people. I used to be average. I used to say, when is my daddy coming to get me? When is my biological father gonna come in my life? And when I would talk like that, I ended up getting kicked out of school. And while I talk like that, I ended up being homeless. And while I talk like that, I was broke. And then one day I woke up and said, Eric, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to get you. But you can go to the library and get yourself. You can start reading books. You can go back to school. You can start coming to conferences.
Very helpful for people to hear that they should make themselves competent and dangerous and take their proper place in the world.
Competent and dangerous?
Mm.
Why dangerous?
Because it's the alternative to being weak.
How is it good to be dangerous?
Because it makes you formidable. And life is a very difficult process, and you're not prepared for it unless you have the capacity to be dangerous. That doesn't mean that you should be cruel. It doesn't mean any of that. There's a statement in the New Testament, those who have swords and know how to use them but keep them sheathed will inherit the world. That's a way better way of thinking about it. You have to be powerful and formidable and then peaceful, in that order, right? And that's not the same as being naive and weak and harmless, which is what young men are being encouraged to be. It's like, that's a very bad idea. It's a very bad idea, because naive, weak, and harmless means that you can't withstand the tragedies of life. You can't bear any responsibility. You'll end up bitter. And when you get bitter, then you get dangerous.
This hand represents your friends and family. This is you saying, I want to go do something big with my life. You go, but your friend's like, wait a minute, come back down here. What are you doing? You come back down. You go, so, I want to dream. I want to do something big. Your wife says, babe, what are you talking about? No, you're working too hard. Okay, babe, you're right. Eventually, when you try to go, the tension gets harder. When you get to this point, it's so difficult to break away, because if you do, it's going to snap. Many of you have not only one, you have not only two. So one represents your mom, one represents your wife or ex or friend or peer or cousin, another one, and another one, and another one. Watch how hard this is. I want to go. You can't, right? They're powerful, okay? It's a very strong power that they have on you when they hold you back. But if one by one, you show that you want to go out there and win big, eventually they're going to realize how serious you are.
Lay hold of it. You lay hold of it. And when that thing tells you to quit, you look at it in his eye and say, I ain't going nowhere. I will break you before you break me. You will not defeat me. You will not destroy me. Some of you are so ignorant. You've been through so much hell. You gonna quit now? You should have quit 10 years ago when he walked out on you. You should have been quit. You don't quit now. It's the 10th round. You got 2 more to go. And when you get to success, it's not about skill. When you get to a certain level of success, it's about stamina. It's about stamina. It's about, you won't break me. You can't take me. I fought too long. I fought too hard. If I was going to quit Satan, you should have got me at 17 homies. You should have broke me when I was eating out of trash can. It's too late now. I'm in the Ritz-Carlton. It's too late now.
Let's walk through this. Let's say you want to become who you could be in the fullest sense. So let's say you're someone who's going to solve some serious problems. Okay, the first thing you have to do is admit to the seriousness of the problems. That's no joke, right? So the problems are, let's say, the tragedy of the world, the malevolence of the human heart, and the tyranny of the state. And like, those are, if you don't understand that you would run from those problems when you really looked at them, then you haven't considered the problems. And they exist at all levels, right? It's not just the social and the political or the economic, it's also the psychological, so human malevolence. There's an abyss, that's a hellish abyss. And it plays itself out in the political world, but it plays itself out in your own world too, in your psychological world. And so the first thing is just the terror of the problem itself. And that's enough to paralyze you. And that's the Hydra, that's the Gorgon with the head of snakes. It'll paralyze you like you're a prey animal and turn you to stone. That's the basilisk in the Harry Potter series. Mm-hmm. You look at it and it turns you to stone and lurks underneath everything, right? And it's malevolence and tragedy. And so And so there's that. And then the next is, well, you're going to take responsibility for that? You're really going to do that, are you? That's a hell of a load, man. And so it's daunting to even consider that. And then there's the discipline and responsibility that necessitates, which is also daunting. It's like, oh my God, the problem's that serious. I'm really going to have to get my act together in order to not contribute to it, much less solve it.
Yeah.
And so the problem is terrible, and then the solution is daunting. But the upside of that is like, well, there isn't anything better to have than a problem that's worth solving, like that's really worth solving, right? And so the more of that you take on, the more you have a reason to get out of bed in the morning, no matter what. Like, I'm getting up, I'm trudging forward. Doesn't matter what I'm suffering from. I've got things that need to be done. They're necessary. And that gives you that sense of purpose that is the antidote to bitterness.
How many of us hit the wall when we get to a point where our daughter or son or somebody doesn't even know they're doing what they're doing? They give you that guilt and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So then I went a little bit deeper. I said, we're talking about Kobe and Michael Jordan here. He says, yes. I said, the guilt concept, feeling bad because your kids or your parents or your wife or your husband or somebody, is that a decision somebody else can sell you on? Like, meaning, can I sell you on, stop feeling guilty, you shouldn't feel guilty, you ought to go after your dreams? He said, no, it's a decision only you can make. I said, I agree. Never try to convince somebody to spend less time with their wife or their kids or anything. It's more a decision you gotta make.
I'm talking to somebody. We gonna get it out of you right now. You 8%, you the 8% or the 92%. We gonna get it out of you. We gonna get it out of you. On 3, we gonna get it out of you. When you leave this room, you will take full ownership. And the reason why I say it's my fault, even when it's not my fault, because when I say it's your fault, I give you power. I give you control over my life. And I will never give another human control over my life. It's my fault. It's my problem. I'm coming up with a solution for it. It's my fault. It's my problem. It's my solution. I'm taking ownership.
The most discouraging times were when you're putting effort and you're not seeing progress or results. This can psychologically mess with you to not believe that enough effort is going to produce progress. And for the rest of your life, you're just going to be like, well, even if I give my best, nothing's going to happen. Even if I love this person, nothing's going to happen. Even if I give my best year savings, nothing's going to happen. So for this to work for my head, my brain, I had to come up with levels for me to understand and manage expectation and a level of patience I need to have. And I created 7 timelines for myself. Here's what the timelines are. In order to see any glimpses of change, it takes about 21 days, right? The second one is 90 days. Anything that I did to my business, a new idea I implemented, I said, here's what we're gonna start doing every week on the such and such day. I'm like, okay, first week, no results. Second week, no results. Third week, no results. Fourth week, no results. Fifth week, a little bit of results. Sixth week, a little bit of results. 7th week, a little bit of results. It's not really working, let me drop it. 90 days, that's only 7 weeks. 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10, 11, 12. 13th week, bam! Oh, this works. I'm glad I stuck with it for 90 days. So far we have what? 21 days, 90 days, then it's 12 months, then it's 36 months, then it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So here's how you gotta look at it. So again, 21, 90, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. The bigger the change you want to make, the longer it takes, okay? So if your change is a generational type of a change with a mindset and the way of thinking, your family's been known as the poor, broke family, you want to make a real massive change, it's probably going to take 10 to 20 years. Maybe your generation is full of entitled complainers. You're like, I'm sick and tired of me being linked to my generation and being complainers. I want to do something about it. Maybe you're going to be able to make a change, but maybe it's a 10 to 20 year type of a change. But your body, you want to make some kind of a change, maybe 21 or 90 days. So what happens now if you're saying, well, Pat, I want to make some major changes in my life. I want to do something big. Great. Then that major change is going to require you longer term. But here's the other part. So far you got the timeline to manage expectations so you don't get discouraged, right? Now here's the other part. This doesn't mean 21 days later or 90 days later, you're going to automatically see results. No. Your level of urgency and effort will dictate the level of changes you'll see. So urgency, effort, and patience. 21 days, some people will say, I'll be patient for 21 days, but I don't know about 90 days. Well, that's your problem. I'll be patient for 90 days. I'll give this real estate thing a shot for 90 days, but I don't know about a year, Pat. I don't think I'm gonna do that. Well, that's your problem. Well, I'll give this thing a shot here. I see things going with this company and I think it's gonna work. I'll give it 1 year, but I don't know about 3 years. Well, then that's your problem. Well, I'll give this thing 3 years, but 3 years, I swear if I don't get to this, well then it's my 5 year. I'm not giving it 5 years. Everything is about patience, urgency.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons to, because I've thought for a long time, imagine you have a choice in front of you, because you do. So here's the choice. Your life is either meaningful or meaningless. Okay, so let's go through the meaningless part first. Because you think, well, of course I don't want it to be meaningless. It's like, yeah, just hold on a second. Nothing you do matters. And so impulsive pleasure is the order of the day. No responsibility. You can do whatever you want. It's like Pleasure Island in Pinocchio, right? Or it's like Neverland in Peter Pan. You're still a kid. You can play all the time.
Yeah.
Impulsive pleasure and no responsibility. That's the reward for meaninglessness. Okay. Think, well, there's something to be said about that.
And powerlessness to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, but then the other side is, okay, well, let's say you want your life to be meaningful. It's like, okay, then what you do matters. It actually matters, right? Make a mistake, hurts you, hurts your family, hurts the world in a deeper way than you think. And you have to be awake to that. And then you have to take it on yourself. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today. It's the same basic idea, right? Is that you have to get your markers for success right.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can end up in the situation you described, which is that, like, there's always people out there who are doing far better than you on pretty much anything you want to imagine. And if all you're doing is seeing yourself in their reflected light, let's say, then it's going to be pretty damn dismal. But it's not a good comparison, because you shouldn't just compare. Well, first of all, there's danger in just comparing yourself to others, period, because they're not you, and God only knows what struggles they had to undertake to get to where they were, or what burdens they're currently carrying that you're not aware of. I do think that if you sit on the edge of your bed and things aren't going very well for you, and you ask what foolish thing you're doing to make it worse, that you'll get an answer right now. And it won't be the one you want, but it might be the one that if you listen to would set things straight. I think I don't think that I've ever been in a situation where if something wasn't going right for me and I sat and thought, okay, all right, I'm willing to figure out what I'm doing wrong, which is a big thing to think, because you never know how much you're doing wrong. It might be something that you really don't want to contend with. But if you clear some space to meditate on that, the probability that you'll figure out something that you did that was stupid, that's bending you and twisting you in the wind, you'll get an answer very, very rapidly.
You can't just say you want it. You can't watch the video and say, I want it as bad as I want to breathe. It's cute to say it. But when it's showtime, when the sun comes up, you've got all the books, you've got all the tapes, you've got all the access. Now it's time to hunt. And what separates you from everybody else is that when it's time to hunt, you're ready to hunt.
Patience, effort, urgency equals results. So in one of these areas, I wasn't patient. All I thought about is $25 a week. What the hell is $25 a week? $25 a week increasing 3 years later is $15,000, $18,000. Guy buys a Mickey Mantle rookie card in 1998 for $104,000. They said this guy lost his mind. He's the owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He buys it for $104,000. People said, you paid $104,000 for Mickey Mantle PSA 10 rookie card? Yes. You know what that card is worth today? $18 million. He kept it for 23 years. 23 years, the card went from $100,000 to $18 million. Patience, he had the effort to have the money to buy it, and he put the effort into it, right? So again, you either have a patient issue, you have an effort issue, or you have an urgency issue. Your urgency issues, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll start next month. That's not gonna happen. Then you don't have the formula in place. You either don't put the real effort in, or you don't have the patience. But if you got all three, and you know the 7 timelines, 21, 90, 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, you're gonna be all right long term.
I will my way through every situation, every trial, every tribulation. I will my way through it. I don't care if it's cancer, I will my way through it. I don't care if it's MS, I will my way through it. I don't care if I'm struggling in school and I'm trying to get a degree, I will my way through it. I don't care if you fail the boards, go again. I don't care if you fail the law exam, go again, will your way through it. Some things you can skill yourself through, some stuff you gotta will your way through.